Now, you summed it up beautifully in The Telegraph when you said this election wasn't about race, it wasn't about gender and abortion, all the issues the media seem to be hyper-focused on. It was about secure borders, the economy and government overreach. And I would argue, Douglas, that last point was hugely significant for many of Trump's voters. The lawfare against Trump and his allies, this two-tier justice system that even targets conservative mums at school board meetings. It's a big issue for many in Trump's base.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the interesting thing about not just the radical left, but the left in general in Australia, in Britain, in the US and other Western countries, Canada particularly, is that the moderate left thought that there were all of these issues which were like right-wing talking points or what didn't really affect people's lives. Professional dolts like Alistair Campbell in the UK have just started in recent days to sort of start to say maybe the thing of big hairy men being allowed in women's locker spaces locker rooms is not something that is just being made up by right-wing fanatics. Maybe we should have listened to women, they say, this late in the day. Not just the far left, the center left, the moderate left, vastly underestimated the way in which culture war issues are not made up by conservative pundits, but are things that are felt by any parent whose daughter is training in an elite sport. It's felt in people's lives. It's felt by parents whose children come back from school having been told that there are a million genders and a lot of other woo-woo nonsense. And when it comes to things like the border, they seem to hope, the Democrats seem to hope that the American public would not think anything particularly awry and would just be told it was a Project 2025 conspiracy that for 4 years the border had been open and millions of people had come into the United States illegally. They thought that people didn't mind about that. They thought they could take these votes for granted. And the amazing thing is that they thought they could do this by playing the DEI game at the highest possible level. Why wouldn't you want to vote for Kamala? She's a woman. If you're a woman, you have to vote for Kamala. Guess what? Kamala's from an ethnic minority. Unless you hate ethnic minorities, why would you not vote for Kamala? I mean, this was seriously their pitch. And then you got all of the Democrat commentators on the media who zoomed in on the abortion issue again, when this is actually something which has healed significantly in the United States in the last few years since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, as people have realized that this is a state issue and states can vote one way or they can vote more another. But when you see these like white dudes for Harris who seemed to think that the most important thing about this election was to make it much easier for their daughter to abort their grandchild, it was like, why did you think that was an appealing message when you have cost of living crisis, you have the world having conflicts breaking out that didn't break out until recent years, when you have a totally open border, when you have the crime that comes from that, the debt that comes from that, the government overspend that comes from that. I mean, as Elon Musk said the other day, there's about $2 trillion a year you could shave off from the federal government's budget in the US. And one of the things you could do would be to strip out all of the wasteful, woke nonsense, among other things, which isn't just not helping America, it's holding it back. And if they can do that, if they can strip out this horrible, destructive mechanism that's been put in place in teaching, in education, where American taxpayers pay more per student than almost anyone else in the world, and get out of it one of the worst education results of anywhere in the world, including the developed world. These are things that are really serious. And the Democrats did not run a serious campaign. They had an unserious candidate who wouldn't even answer a question seriously. So thank goodness that the American public have seen through that.
Now, before you go, the leftist media has been in full meltdown mode. They haven't heeded any of the messages you just spoke about. They're just doubling down on the identity politics. And As entertaining as that is for me and my lefties losing its segment, it's not helping their ratings, Douglas. MSNBC's ratings have tanked, diving a staggering 54% in prime time. Shows like Joy Reid and Lawrence O'Donnell's have lost more than half their audience. And CNN is also having a rough time. It's planning to wield the axe on some of its biggest stars. It seems like calling half the country Nazis, fascists and white supremacists is not a winning formula, Douglas.
Well, no, it isn't. And some of us, Rita, we've said this for a while about them, haven't we? I mean, it was amazing, as we said the other day, that Kamala Harris's campaign went from joy to literally Hitler in 3 months. And the most intelligent Democrats and leftists and others, and anti-Trump Republicans, most of them will, I hope, spend this grieving process that they're going to go through actually learning some lessons. It's been very interesting in recent days. This isn't like post 2016 at all. There actually haven't been as many complete meltdowns. And there's lots of reasons for that. But I'd like to think, putting a positive spin on it, is that one of them is that some of the Democrats and others have actually started to get the message. Maybe we shouldn't call the public garbage. Maybe when Donald Trump wins the popular vote, it's not enough to call anyone who has ever supported him a Nazi. It's not enough to talk about brown white supremacists and black white supremacists and Jewish Nazis and everything else. And there will be some people who'll still try to do that. You just mentioned one of the particular people who's broken out of the asylum, Joy Reid. She's a pure race baiter. She's a black race baiter who just loves causing racial division in America. And she's one of the very few who's tried to double down since this. I don't see a future for people like her on the media. Their ratings are horrible and their behavior is much more horrible. And so no wonder people are turning off. I think it's really important. I say this, that the Democrats who ever want to get back into office again have to listen to this result and realize it wasn't the public that was wrong.
Absolutely. And just finally on Joy Reid, she had an Ivy League psychiatrist on just in the last couple of days saying stop seeing family members who voted for Trump. It's essential to stop communicating and spending the Christmas and holidays with your loved ones. Crazy.
Well,
crazy
that psychiatrist and Joy Reid both need a proper psychiatrist themselves. And I hope they get help as soon as possible.
Douglas Murray, thanks for your time this evening.
Great pleasure.